Hello and welcome to another Bucketsblog podcast. We've got me, David Angelini, Matthew O'Donnell,
Hello.
and Ryan Docherty.
Right.
Today we're going to be giving you a rundown of our Bucketsblog Power Rankings for the coming season and debating the merits of each team in the order that has aggregated from the opinions of everyone we have involved here at Bucketsblog. And we're going to start off with number 30 right at the bottom, the Philadelphia 76ers. So we've got another tanking effort, yeah?
Oh yes.
Yeah, definitely.
We have the third year. We're going into the third year now of their 3-year tanking plan. The 3 years that they've warned the fans about, and it looks like probably that's going to be extended because they haven't really built, a nice roster around it. They're kind of stacked at the same positions, and it hasn't really worked out. But they have managed to draft what could prove to be the best talent in the past 3 years since they've been tanking in Jahlil Okafor.
Yeah. I think it sort of speaks for itself, the fact that every single member agreed on... We agreed on very few things, but the one thing we did agree on was that the 76ers would be the worst team in the league, and every single one of us had them ranked 30th, which...
So nobody's picked them to be any other spot?
No, this was a unanimous... One of very, very few unanimous decisions. In fact, I think one of two unanimous decisions on our behalf.
Mm-hmm. So yes, another year tanking. They'll probably be trying to... Do they have their pick? I'm sure they must.
I think they've got their pick, and
They've got everyone's picks.
They get
Everyone's
I
picks.
think they've got theirs, one other, and then 18 second round picks. I think they've got basically half of the second round if all the conditions are met. But that's...
So we've got Jahlil Okafor that's just joined them, playing at the same position as Joel Embiid, who is now going to be injured for another season, and Nerlens Noel, who can play power forward and centre. So all things being all things healthy,
their three best players play the same position.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know. That's what I mean by they're all stacked at the same positions. So you can imagine that their tanking effort is going to go on for a lot longer than just 3 years.
Yeah.
They don't have a guard. I mean, Tony Norton's alright.
Tony's alright. We like Nick Stauskas.
I like Nick Stauskas.
Yeah,
I think the Kings should have held on to him. I think he's a very good player.
I'm not sure about a starting shooting elite, but definitely a guy coming off the bench. He was a great shooter in college. So I think he can definitely contribute in the league. As to the three centres on the roster, if you want to call them power forward, the idea of picking the best talent available over the best fit for a team is interesting if you're then going to move those pieces. But right now, it doesn't.
It's a good debate actually. Like, where do you draft? Do you draft the best available, or do you draft into your team?
Yeah.
What they need is everybody, but the best player available was Jahlil Okafor, whose position they have covered already.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem is then you're then moving on to Joel Embiid, who is out for the season. Who could have been a guy you might have traded and then used Okafor as your starting centre, but obviously you can't move an injured player. You don't want to move anyone else now because you don't know what you're going to get from Embiid, if anything. So you can stand pat with what may have been the best talent in not this year's draft, but last year's. He could have been the top talent. You never know about these things, and now you're kind of stuck in a bind.
What concerns me about Joel Embiid is because he's a big man and it's a foot injury. Will he ever actually be healthy enough to fulfil the potential that he came into the league with?
I mean,
it's now a big question mark above that.
We're all looking at Joel Embiid and we're thinking, is that going to be another Yao Ming? He's only played a certain number of years and he's only just turned 35. So.
Thinking more Greg Oden, because he hasn't even, like, Yao Ming had a reasonably short career, but he had a good career for the years he was on the court. Greg Oden had nothing, like pretty much nothing, and that's it's an injury. You don't know how he's going to come back from it. He certainly outbeat himself.
Yeah. You're also going to wonder how that impacts the team when you've got one of your supposed soon-to-be star players not playing in a suit at the side of games. What's going to do for team cohesion? How are you supposed to build a young team when one of your top picks isn't going to be in suited up for a game and yet for yet another year?
Well, team cohesion is a point. They're because they're trying to tank. They're changing their whole roster out every year and trying to put the worst possible roster onto the court like every season. So there has been a lot of personnel changes and they're not building a lot of team chemistry because of that. So it's hard to see that their tanking strategy is going to end at the end of this season.
No, it seems like they're tanking on the wrong place. They're basically they keep digging on the same spot on the beach, and it keeps all their efforts just keep getting washed away every time the
That's a really good analogy.
Sorry, God damn it, that was really damn good.
That's a really good analogy. I like that. That's exactly what they're doing. You're right. You're absolutely right. You would again this year we did our pod on the actual draft that we've not actually released. Maybe we'll release it at some point, but it became a no-brainer. However, though, because you think they might get you're kind of projecting them to get D'Angelo Russell, who is perfect. That would have been great. So now they're starting to stack out at the guard spot. They've got a young talent at the guard spot who can become an all-star and a superstar. So that looked good, but when the Lakers took him, they had to take the best available. And by all accounts, a lot of the analysis in the chat up till now is that could be a mistake that will come back to haunt the Lakers down the line when Jahlil Okafor becomes a great player. I'll say this. What part of if Jahlil Okafor does come good and become a great player again, because of the style of play that he has and because of the way that the NBA is now evolving into the small ball game, if Jahlil Okafor becomes dominant, fulfills the potential that everyone's tagging him with, that changes the NBA again, because now every team has to have a big guy that can defend him. So it starts to this small ball evolution might start grinding into a halt and start going back the other way. So he might be the saviour for post basketball, or he might. So
praying for another stylistic change yet again.
I'm not praying for it. I'm just saying that could be what happens if he becomes dominant. I'm going to say Shaq dominant, but I don't think he's going to become anything like Shaq. But if he becomes dominant, then everyone has to have a player that can defend him. And if you're going to have a player that defends him, then you're going to need to have that person contributing on the other end of the floor as well, the offensive end. So that kind of
there could be a method in that, man.
Yeah, it pulls the balance of the NBA back towards the post player rather than the small ball. But that's down the line. We'll see what happens. I think what's likely to happen is they'll trade Nerlens Noel down the line if Joel Embiid can prove that he's healthy and that he's able to stay on the court further. He'll play power forward because he can play out with the paint, and that'll be where they start to go forward.
Yep.
We'll move on now to number 29, Denver Nuggets. Again, we'll run through these quickly because you can talk a lot about these teams at the bottom of the bottom of the league and not really say anything. So we'll resist that temptation. We'll get Denver Nuggets now.
It really is disappointing. But looking at the Nuggets, you forget that just a few years ago, they were the third or fourth best team in the league. I mean, you're talking about a team, I think they finished third in the Western Conference. I think they were basically on par with Miami's record in the first championship season, or the season they got to the finals. And it's just scary how far they're falling from, or how quickly it's happened, and no one seems to have really noticed. I mean, I forgot that team was that good. I remember them being in the playoffs, and I remember them playing really well. I don't remember them being third in the West. That came as a massive surprise to me, and now seeing them with basically the same roster, you've still got Danilo, you've still got Wilson Chandler, Fareed was coming into the fold then. This team should not be ranked 29th with the talent they have available, and yet I still feel they are 29th ranked.
There hasn't even been a lot of change either. You're missing Mozgov now because the Cavs stole him. They did steal him, absolutely stole him, because he works great, in the Cavs, in the way the Cavs want to run their basketball team. And they've lost Ty Lawson now, which may or may not be a bit of a saving grace now, because you can hand that role over exclusively to Emmanuel Mudiay now, who I think is going to be great. But it is mostly the same roster, and you wonder if the coaching dysfunction is having a lot to do with how far they've fallen and how quickly they've fallen with a lot of the same players.
I think they've tried to change their style of basketball quite a lot, and because of the hype around Fareed, they tried to basically make him into another Blake Griffin, and it didn't really work. It's not the same kind of athleticism that he's producing on the court every single night, so that's not going to work. Gallinari coming back this year as his first full year after injury, yeah?
First full year, yeah.
Maybe his first full year in a lot of years.
Yeah, so that could give them a bit of hope this year, but looking down their roster, you're thinking that they should be better than this, but after last season's efforts, you just can't see it.
I think 29 is about right for them.
Yeah.
I might have personally ranked them a little bit higher, but they're not going to be.
I went back and forth myself on this, but I think it probably is just about right. The problem is, who's the leader of that group? I think we pegged probably Gallinari.
But because of injury, hasn't been able to back that up on the court.
Plus, he's the one that spent most time in a suit. So
yeah. So and your next kind of quote unquote veteran presence there is Wilson Chandler, who's been overpaid this summer, I think.
And again, been in and out the lineup for the same.
Yeah.
Probably about the same amount of time as Gallinari.
Then you've got Kenneth Fareed, who I like a lot. I think like when it comes to the end of Kenneth Fareed's contract and he becomes an outstanding role player on a good team, we'll see how good Kenneth Fareed actually is. But at the moment, he's not a leader. He's not the guy that's going to Blake Griffin going to take the charge of a team and take the reins and start driving.
What he is, he's just going to be an energy guy off the bench for Sunday.
Yeah. That's what he is though. He is an energy guy and he's good at that. I really like him for that. He's your blue collar guy. He's going to do all the hard work, but you can't rely on him for your offense.
But that sort of, although it's a detriment to it might just be a workhorse. Does that then mean he is a trade asset for another team? Someone goes after him. Same thing with Gallinari or Chandler. Could a contender find a spot for them? I think definitely in the case of Chandler and Gallinari with Freed's contract, probably not as easily, and I think they are invested a bit more in Freed than the other two. So
well, I would think so as well, because I think Freed's better.
Yeah, so I think probably there will be a lot of rumours swirling about this team, and I'd like to see Gallinari or Chandler on contenders because I think they really could contribute, but I don't really know. They've just been given contracts, so I don't know the plan for this Nuggets team. I really don't know where.
It's Emmanuel Moody's team now, I think you have to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Rookie of the season, probably.
I think I think for the first 3 months at least, maybe you'll be able to sustain it for more than 3 months, but the first 3 months of the season at least, Emmanuel Moody is going to jump out to a huge lead as your rookie of the year.
I think so. He's definitely one of the top three in that race. So I think we'd all agree on that one.
He's the only player, for anyone who doesn't know who Emmanuel Moody is, he's the only player that's played against men. All these other guys, all the other rookies have been playing college ball. Great, they're all great in college, but he's been playing in the Chinese league against adults, against men, against experienced players. So he's bringing that straight into the NBA. He's the most NBA ready of all of them. I think everyone agrees that. So I think because of that, he's going to jump straight ahead. So next at number 28, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, we want to say quickly at the start that we, the news that's come out about Flip Saunders. Again, we wish him all the best with his diagnosis, and we hope that it all works out for him.
Yeah, I think for those that haven't heard, he's just been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma back in August. He's remained positive about the whole thing. He's saying he's going to tackle this with the same aggression he does in everything in his life, and he's going to stay with the team. So yeah, just want to wish the best of luck, and that's all I want to say on that.
Yeah. Aside from that, this is a really, really talented roster. They've managed to actually assemble quite a lot of really, really promising talent.
This is what the Sixers should be looking at as their strategy. They've drafted well, they've traded well, they've got enough depth in that roster now of young depth and a little bit of leadership to back them up.
Certainly with, in terms of what you've mentioned about veteran leadership, we've got Andre Miller coming in to back up Ricky Rubio, who's been disappointing, for the past couple of years, not really achieved what we all thought he was going to achieve when he came into the league. You get Kevin Garnett, who's in there, who's just been, who's just signed for another 2 years. Remarkably, I don't understand how, but he's going to definitely give them something off. Like, he's maybe not in terms of basketball, but in terms of imparting his experience and his tenacity and his work ethic onto these young guys, which is only going to be great for the franchise. And you get Tayshaun Prince coming in there as well, who's probably going to be backing up Andrew Wiggins directly. Again, another a champion, a presence who can show him the ropes and teach him how to be a professional. So it's all good. They've got they're striking a really good balance of young talent and veteran leadership. When I say young talent, I'm talking about guys like Andrew Wiggins, Karl-Anthony Towns, Zach LaVine, Georgie Dieng,
even Rubio.
Rubio is young as well, you have to say, and Anthony Bennett, who is a former number one pick.
I noticed the smirk coming out there slightly.
He is a former number one pick.
Yes.
It was one. I think we were talking when we watched this one live as well. And couldn't believe that he'd been chosen number one. I think we were expecting Nerlens Noel.
I don't think anyone could believe that one. But I think it's quite funny that we're talking about. Obviously, Anthony Bennett aside, there's a lot of young talent. You never thought you'd say a team that used to be ran by David Kahn would have a fantastic draft records. But you can look down. We talked about the Philadelphia 76ers. They've got loads of guys playing the one position. When you talk about the Timberwolves, you've got a 1 through 5 young talented roster: Rubio, LaVine, Wiggins, Deng, Towns, who don't clash. They in fact complement each other.
Yeah.
You could say Deng and Towns overlap slightly, but that's a case of two young guys who need to develop a little more, find a way to play together. The other guys all play different positions, and then you've got veterans backing those guys up. So I think, in terms of rebuilding, they're probably a bit.
It's a very, very positive Timberwolves team this year.
So even though they're ranked 28th, they probably are in terms of rebuilding a bit ahead of a few of the teams that are actually ranked above them. So they might not be as good as them this year, but in terms of rebuild, they're a bit ahead.
It's also the first time in NBA history that 3 consecutive first picks overall, number 1 overall picks, have all played on the same roster. So
which everyone discounts because of Anthony Bennett. But c'est la vie.
We'll move on to number 27 now, the Portland Trailblazers. So again, another big fall from grace. Playoff team last year. Aldridge bolts the pen. when it all starts to collapse and started, they trade away all sorts, they trade away the whole roster pretty much, and the only guy that's really left there from the starting lineup is Damian Lillard, who is the sixth best point guard in the NBA, I think, is a great player, really good player to build around. If anyone's who's listening to this has been reading my article as well, I talk a lot about where the point guard in the team, because I put a lot of stock in that. Is the point guard the great point guard? And I'm ranking where the point guard is, as opposed to other point guards in the conference and in the league as a whole. In terms of, if we apply that same logic to this situation, they do have a top 6 point guard. They've got one of the best point guards in the NBA that they can now start building around. So they're already off to the races, ahead of so many other teams. Even if you want to compare them to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are stacked with talent everywhere else, there's no elite teams in the NBA that don't have an elite point guard.
I think
Damian Lillard's an elite point guard.
That was something we noticed, because they actually, in our rankings, we did actually have them tied 4 votes from us. But the thing that pushed ahead on the Trailblazers was they have an all-star, a current all-star on the squad already, point guard Damian Lillard, which Timberwolves don't have, and that's a piece that these rebuilding teams just don't. You don't have an all-star rebuilding team. That's, they try and avoid that. But the fact that they do have Damian Lillard puts them a step ahead in terms of wins for this year. How that sets them for the future, I don't know, because
you need to put the talent around him, and as good as Damian Lillard is as a shooter and as a distributor of the ball, he's a really bad defender.
Yes. Yeah.
And looking down their starting five. Their starting five is basically a bunch of role players who've
patchwork roster.
They've not got a good.
Some of these
run
guys
in
aren't
any
even
team.
role players. Some of these guys wouldn't make my team.
Well, no.
Well, Ryan, you're making the joke. It's Damian Lillard and insert the
generic band. You could go Damian Lillard and Little Mix. Any of these, any band you want, basically.
Well, I think that's telling that we're now hearing a lot more about his rap career, Damian Lillard's rap career, because I think there might be a hint of him now starting to think a little bit more about his rap career than his basketball career. Certainly, he knows he's not going to be back in the playoffs, so that leaves, again, when we come to talk about the playoffs in later podcasts, there's a spot there for a team now to fill.
Good to see though that the Trailblazers are a home of old guys though. You've got Mike Miller, Chris Kaman, both. You add up their ages, you're talking 205. So since the league was birthed, almost.
Well, what worries me is that maybe they've just heard the comments from last year's playoffs and thought, this seems like a good place for old people, a nice racist home for them. And that's the only thing. That's the only thing I'm going to say about last year's playoffs, because they've done that to death.
Is it? Okay.
That's. I'm not letting you have this one, Dave, because you had 2 opportunities to rant about that.
So I can't moan about Jerry Stotts anymore.
No,
Okay,
you've been sorted out.
That's fair.
Moving on.
So yeah, Aldridge bolted the pen and they basically revamped the roster around Damian Lillard, and he doesn't have a lot to work with anymore. He'll probably still be an all-star. This is interesting because I think he'll. I mean, did he? There's a debate here about whether did he get the nod for the all-star before, because it was a very tough competition. He's maybe getting a nudge ahead of guys that should have been in there instead of him
because he was in the playoffs.
Yeah,
because the team was doing well.
Yeah, I'd like to say yes, because this is now Damian Lillard's show. It was. You can't say it wasn't LaMarcus Aldridge's show before. He was the main guy. Now Damian Lillard's the main guy, and despite the fact he doesn't play very good defense, he's going to get all the shots.
That's fine. The All-Star game doesn't play. No one plays good defense in the All-Star game, so that's obviously not a criteria.
Yeah. But
otherwise, Tony Allen would be in every All-Star game.
Yeah.
Will he be an All-Star again? I think he will.
I don't think he will be this year, but I think in the coming years, yeah. Not this year though.
I think it depends how things play out. He's probably going to be in the push for a coach's decision, but we'll see how that goes.
So we'll move on now to number 26, which is the New York Knicks. I personally ranked the Knicks a lot higher than this, but they've fallen because of the way that everyone's opinion has been aggregated. Most people thought the Knicks would be bad. I personally think that although I don't like Carmelo Anthony as a player, I don't like him as a player, I don't like the way he plays basketball, I think he's good for more wins than some of the teams that we've ranked ahead of the Knicks here. And I have more, I'm a Knicks sympathiser, that's what I'll call myself here, a Knicks sympathiser, because all the negative stuff that gets said about the Knicks in the press, I don't buy it. I think a lot of these guys, like Stephen A. Smith is a prime example because he's so prominent in the media. He's so invested in the Knicks. He loves these Knicks, like they're his team. Everything they do that doesn't pan out, he's so critical of. It's like when you ask me, what do I think about Celtic failing to get into the Champions League this year? I'm going to be critical of the team. That's a given. I'm going to become down heavy on on my team, and Stephen A. Smith does it all the time, and his voice is so loud in the media that that's all you ever hear, is that everything the Knicks have done is bad and it's not going to work out and that they're failing, and Phil Jackson's like not not panning out as a good executive and all this. So I'm a sympathiser for the Knicks.
Yeah, I think it's important to separate some of the things they're doing. Obviously, Carmelo Anthony, I would question his motivation this year. Obviously, he left sort of towards the end of just after the All-Star break. In fact, literally just after the All-Star game, went out of injury. A lot of people say you actually would have called it a day a lot earlier.
But wanted the All-Star game.
Yeah, but wanted to play in the All-Star game in New York, which is probably correct. But I'm not sure I agree with the criticism because I understand why he did it. But a lot of decisions, I think the problem is they've not got any marquee free agents, and the one that's always criticised is the Porzingis sign in the draft, which I actually liked.
See, we're liking it now, or we liked it at the time that it was done. Since then, Phil Jackson's came out with the comments that he could end up being the next Sean Bradley, which I don't understand. That's the only thing, right? I've read Phil Jackson's books. I kind of understand. I'm not going to say I'm as much of an expert on his system as he is, but I understand his system. I understand where he's signing players into his triangle offense. So I feel like I've maybe got an understanding of what he's trying to do that people like Stephen A. Smith don't. But that is one thing that I cannot understand, is why do you come out in the media saying that might be a draft bust. The best that Kristaps Porzingis can achieve is maybe he's the next Sean Bradley.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't understand why you say that. You say it to motivate him? Are you admitting that you've screwed up the draft? Are you I just don't understand.
That might be a zen moment for him there.
I think he had an alright summer league and stuff. Yeah. So it's not, he's not shown that he's going to be a bust. It's some of his other signs. That's the question mark that I've got over the next. Mainly Jose Calderon at your point guard. Robin Lopez is centre. Okay, he plays defense, but
he's a role player though. This is where understanding the triangle comes into it, because if you've got a player like Carmelo Anthony that you're trying to make play the triangle offense, you can't have too many other players that are going to demand the ball. Robin Lopez is going to protect the rim for you, like you said. He's your kind of defensive role player. He's not going to take up that many touches of the ball, but he is perfectly capable of putting back a layup or coming and setting a screen, which is your pinch post part of the triangle offense. I can see how that fits into the triangle offense for me. So I think it's a good add. I think it's a good addition to the team, particularly because he's going to have to make up for a lot of defense that
I think he's going to
isn't playing.
I think these guys are going to have to make up a lot of minutes though. Just looking down their backups aren't that strong.
No, and I agree with that.
I like Galloway. Galloway is quite good in summer league. He seemed to take control of a lot of games. I'll say this, he took control of a lot of games, not always in a way that helped the team, but he seemed to have that confidence. Which
so we get another Carmelo Anthony.
Yes, which is good. But I think we're talking about the triangle offense, and obviously they've got pieces who could fit in the triangle offense. Calderon possibly is a more of a role in the offense. Lopez, yes. The issue is the big star and Carmelo Anthony on that page does not fit in the triangle offense.
He doesn't, and I think that's why he's now we're now starting to hear trade rumours about him. I think again, I don't know where the lapse in communication happened between Knicks fans and Phil Jackson when they all thought that last year they were supposed to be a contender. Maybe Phil Jackson said that. I wasn't following it. If he said that, then it was never going to happen. It was never going to be true. This is a building process. He's got a 5-year contract, so you can't say that he's a failed executive after 1 year of that. That's ridiculously unfair.
He may have said that. He says, "Yeah, we're going to contend for a title." Kobe Bryant also said he'd play power forward this year if need be.
He has to say that though. Yeah, can you imagine Phil Jackson coming out and saying, we're going to be rotten this year. We're just going to be basically tanking again like the Sixers. That's not going to play. He can't say that, and it isn't his personality, even if that was what was happening. But it's what's happened. They've got the fourth pick and they've used it on Kristaps Porzingis. Hopefully, as end moment, maybe he's trying to motivate Kristaps Porzingis to be a better player by comparing him to Sean Bradley. I don't know, but there's a lot of guys here, young guys, who are going to get minutes now. So Jaren Grant, who keep on saying he's a good addition to the team because he's a good point guard and he's a player that can play in the triangle offense. Clay Anthony Early, who was injured all last season, we'll start to see him more now, who by all accounts is a good player. Derek Williams, this is his last chance, really.
Yep. Yeah.
This is if he doesn't have a big showing for the Knicks this season, then he's basically out of the league. Kyler Quinn. Again, I don't know a lot about Kyler Quinn. They've stole him from the Magic. Do you guys know anything about Kyler Quinn?
Aside from playing brief minutes in My Player, where he comes on as not really,
They've got Lou Amundsen showing him.
He sets a mean stream.
That's just, you know.
Listen, when Lou Amundsen played for the Suns, he was a good energy player. I thought he came in and rebounded and put back. And
again, but that was when Chris came in with hair, so.
I mean, that was also when he had Steve Nash, who could make anybody look like a decent role player.
Yeah.
Do we agree that these 2 point guards, you've got Calderon and Grant, would Hardaway, who they traded away last year,
Tim Hardaway,
was
he have been there
on draft night?
Was that
would he have been there? He's not a point guard. He's like the criticism was that he's a bit too much interested in his own game because he understood what was happening with the roster and how they were trying to tank. So it became, understandably, it became every man for himself, and he tried to play himself into a better situation.
Yeah.
So technically, yes, better player, but what they're going for, probably not.
It probably fits better onto the Hawks team where he is now.
Yeah.
Than this. Aaron Fallow though, that's the player we've not spoken about. He can play he doesn't have to be the focus of your offense. He's like he's probably overqualified 6-man off the bench guy, underqualified go to shooting guard scorer guy. But he doesn't need to be that because Carmelo Anthony's on the team. And I think in the triangle offense, if he's disciplined enough, which I think he is, to pick his spots and take the shots within the offense, the shots that come. The whole point of the triangle offense: take the path of least resistance. So I think he's intelligent enough and a good enough scorer to score in a variety of different ways to fit into that offense. The problem is Carmelo Anthony, and it looks like they're going to be looking to move him as soon as possible. Whether it happens before the All-Star break or it happens next summer or the year after, I don't know. But he's going to be traded because he doesn't fit into the triangle offense. He doesn't fit into what they're trying to do at the Knicks. And it's something that's been criticised a lot. I'm standing up for Phil Jackson, and I still believe that the Zen Master knows what he's doing, and it just takes a lot longer than Knicks fans want it to take.
Yeah, I think he's definitely better than the average Knicks fan.